What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Pivot Mindset Podcast. My name is Justin. I am your host. And man, I'm really excited to have you joining with us on another episode. Listen, y'all, I cannot believe that we are headed to episode 100. I know we got a couple episodes left. I know what y'all thinking, like, bro, you tripping. You got, man, I never thought that I could create a podcast that we almost launch and create 100 freaking episodes. Crazy to think that y'all have listened to me across 100 episodes, that we've had people join, we've had people be on the pod. Like, this podcast has kind of created and been it's turned into something of its own, right? And I just love it. Thank God for it. But man, if you're new, if you're just checking out this podcast for the very first time, we believe here that life is all about the pivots, and those who decide to make them, they decide to be successful. That's the life that we live. If we talk about being successful, if we talk about living a life that's fulfilled, if you look back at your life, you will find that the success you've had has been on the opposite side of a pivot. And here's the other piece. Counter to that, you'll find that success that you haven't had is based on a pivot that you've yet to make in your life. And so really all this podcast is about is helping you make those pivots, helping you make the adjustments, the shifts in your life to truly become the best version of yourself and truly become all that God has called you to be. All right, y'all, if you haven't done so already, please give this podcast a rating, a review. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple. 5 stars is the only way that you can make a review. If you try to enter in 4 stars, we're going to send a hit out on you. But no, seriously, I just appreciate your guys' continued support, whether that's sharing clips on Instagram or that is dropping a comment on the YouTube. Shout out to the YouTube gang, or whether you're listening to this on your way to work or whatever you're doing. I genuinely appreciate the support that you give to this podcast. So, man, let's dive right in. I want to talk about really the 8 keys of success. Now, these are my keys to success. These aren't an exhaustive key, right? If somebody said, if I talked to my son and my son said, hey, Dad, what are the 8 things, if you had to summarize 8 things that you believed would help me be successful, here are those things. Now, this could all change tomorrow, okay? So don't hang on to these as like this is my Bible or anything like that. This is just as I'm sitting down right now with, reflecting on what has worked for me, what hasn't worked for me. Here's some points that I've been able to derive, and I want to be able to give you. Please let me know also if any of these are good. Like if you resonate with any of these, or I'd love to get some feedback, see like what keys you guys may have for success. So let's dive into the first one. So the first one is, you have to give so you have more space to receive. My first key, coming off hot, is that you got to give in order to have space to receive. Man, I know that life for me is all about really trying to become the best version of myself and trying to level up, trying to get better, trying to get more, right? It's the pursuit of truly living a maxed out life. And a part of that living a maxed out life means that I get more. Right? It means that I get more money, it's that I get better friends, it's that I get better relationships. For me, part of it is that I get a better house, that I get a better car, that I'm always looking to level up some area of my life, that I get a better marriage, meaning that I like pour into my relationship and I have a better family and that I pour into it, right? And I make everything around me better. But if you want to gain, right, you've got to give. I think there is a culture out there of only receiving. And there's a class of people who have connected themselves with being people that only like to receive and they never like to give, or that they think gaining when you gain something that it's because like the universe, right? Or something just magically dropped in your lap. When really, I believe we gain when we give. And a part of the sowing is the harvest that you get as a part of the sowing the seeds. So that's the number one, is we got to sow seeds. You got to sow seeds financially. We got to sow seeds in our relationships. We got to sow seeds with our emotions. We got to sow seeds in our health. Anything that you want to get, in order to have room to receive the blessing and the abundance, you got to be willing to give. You got to be willing to give and pour out what you've got so you have space to receive for more. All right. It's kind of like if your hands are full, holding what you have, somebody tries to give you more, you won't have any room to hold the more, right? If I got a bag of money in my hand and like I won't have space to get the more money if I won't let go of the current money that I have. And that's kind of the analogy that I think we've got to think through when it comes to receiving more, right? It's all in the giving. Number two, my second key to success is going to be, I might get canceled for this one. But balance is trash. All right. I'm gonna just come out and say it. Balance is trash. If you're in pursuit of balance, I want to talk to you for a second. Man, I used to be a person that tried to pursue balance. Truly, I would get a lot of frustration and anxiety because the minute that I felt like I had did good at one thing, I felt guilty because I had to sacrifice other things to get good at the one thing. Right. The minute that I got my physique right, the minute that I got my body right, my weight right, all that kind of stuff, I felt guilty because I wasn't spending as much time with my friends. The minute that I spent more time with my friends, I felt guilty because I didn't have the money that I desired to have. The minute that I finally got the money I desired to have, my weight got off balance, right? And it's this mentality, and this is what I want to help free people from, there's a mentality out there that thinks that balance is supposed to all happen at once. And if you look at nature, if you look at all of nature, none of nature is actually balanced. If we look at our seasons, there is winter. There's never winter, spring, summer, and fall in one day. There is winter in a season. For us, that's typically 3 months. There is fall for a season. There is summer for a season. There is spring for a season. And in those seasons dictate what you get in that season. And it's not balanced, right? Actually, the life and the rhythm of life, the cycle of life is imbalanced. The cycle of life says, I want all winter for 3 months. I want all summer for 3 months. I want all spring for 3 months. And I want all summer I want all the seasons for a myriad of time. And that's how your life really should look. And I want to free people who may be feeling guilty because you maybe have sacrificed a ton to be where you are financially. Don't feel guilty. You'll balance it back out. Some of you may have sacrificed and spent tons of time with family. You got a great, phenomenal marriage. You got great relationship with your kids, but you're struggling financially. Don't feel guilty. Let's just know that there is a season now for you to start transitioning. I do believe that you win in the end. People who cultivate a seasonality, a life of seasonality, I do believe that you win in the end. Because at some point, right, if I want to get out of debt, I've got to be intense about getting out of debt. If I want to get really good in my marriage, I got to be intense about that. If I want to get my body right and get my eating right, I got to be really intense about that. Often the key to true success at something is the lack of balance in it because it takes a lot to pour into it. And so stop chasing balance. All right. I just want to give you that. We're no longer chasing balance in 2023, man. We're chasing the seasonality of success. And we know that the seasonality of success has rhythms, and you are going to be intentional about just leaning into the rhythm. Lean into the rhythm and what God has called you to in that season. All right. That's number 2. Number 3 is, and this is probably one of my biggest secrets to success. If there was, I don't think there's any secrets to success, right? But here's, if I had one, one of mine is just say yes and figure it out later. Just get in the habit of saying yes and figuring out all the details later is a huge benefit to me. That is a huge strategy. It's something that has served me very well. It's this mindset that says God is going to just order my steps. And my faith is that if I feel a thing that I just go for it. And my faith is that if it was wrong, God will help me make the pivot. If it was right, I won't need to make a pivot, right? Here's the thing, right? If you truly live a pivoted life, there's really no decision that you can't come back from. I mean, unless it's doing something crazy, right? Unless it's, you tried to delete somebody off the face of the planet, right? But I'm saying, often our decisions don't become bad decisions until we stay in them longer than we knew we should have. I'm going to repeat that again. Our decisions often don't become bad decisions until we stay in those decisions longer than we knew we should have. If you make a bad decision, hurry up and make a pivot, it's not necessarily a bad decision. It's just kind of a bad call, and it didn't hurt you that much. You didn't have a ton invested. But it becomes a bad decision when you make the wrong decision and you don't pivot out of it, and it becomes a lifestyle and it becomes a quality and a standard of living that you now are in 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 10 years. That is a bad decision. And so if you live that as a lifestyle, again, that's how I live my lifestyle, you will learn that, hey, there's really not many bad decisions that you can't pivot from if you do make them. And then here's the thing is that I'm always leaning on God's word. I'm always leaning on faith. And so my desire is always to hold God at his word. And as I'm hearing it currently, right? And so just go ahead and say yes, man. and stop trying to figure it all out. Stop trying to figure out step 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. Just get step 1. And once you get step 1, just know that God is going to give you the rest. But you've got to be okay with God ordering those steps. And step 2 may not be available until you take step 1. All right. So that's my third one, is just say yes and figure out how it will work later. Let's go to 4. 4 is execution eats strategy for lunch. Woo! Execution will eat strategy for lunch all day, every day of the week, y'all. Man, I feel like I'm strategic. Like, I'm a pretty strategic thinker. People pay me. My clients work with me to help them be strategic. I am strategic. But what I found is that strategy is not necessarily it's not necessarily the trait that most people don't have. Most people don't have the trait of execution. There's a ton of people that can help you with strategy. There's a ton of people that can help you think through a thing, help you build a roadmap, help you build a execution plan, right? Execution plan, not execution, but a lot of people that can help you build an execution plan. But man, when I tell you that execution will eat strategy for lunch every single day of the week, I am being way more intentional, especially this year, about executing more and strategizing less, especially if we talk about the point that I just covered of just say yes and figure it out later. A part of the being so strategic, I think sometimes for people, is sometimes we hide insecurity, fear, and doubt in strategy. And we try to strategize something to death to take out the fear and to eliminate our concern. But that's not really what strategy is for. Strategy really is to help you make execution better. So what you should be strategizing about is how to execute better, not how to think more strategy and how to think more strategically, right? So execution will eat strategy for lunch every single day of the week. That is my fourth point, right? Perfect. Let's go to 5. Let's talk about the 5th one. This one's might take me a little second to unpack. Your routine and the crowdedness of your routine is an indicator if you have a routine or a average life. Let me spend some time, just a couple minutes here. Your routine and how crowded and busy your routine is an indicator is if you're living an average life. For example, what I mean by that is if you are going to the gym and every time you're in the gym, it is packed, it could mean that you're doing a bunch of average people stuff, meaning like we know that there's that whole 80-20 rule, right? There's only 20% of the people getting 80% of the results, right? 20% of the action get 80% of the results. Like it's the Pareto principle, the 80-20. So if I walk into an environment and I see that as a crowded environment, what it's indicating to me is that I am not an outlier. And I personally desire to live a life in the top 1%. And so if I am in an environment that doesn't necessarily feel like the top 1%, I've got to get out of that environment. And so if I'm going to the gym at 6 a.m. and the gym is packed, man, I got to get there at 4. You will learn that 4 a.m., the gym is not packed. There is a top 1% that's going to the gym at a certain time. And that's not just in fitness, but that's in life in general. There is a strategy around like anything that I'm doing that's crowded. It's probably not the best thing to do. If everybody around you has credit cards and credit card debt, might not be the best thing for you to do. If the wisdom that you're taking is conventional wisdom, could mean that you're living a conventional average life. Now, that's okay for people that desire to live an average life. I'm not saying that is bad. What I am saying is that for people that really want to live in the top 1% or really want to live at the top and be above average or be extraordinary, you've got to check your routines. And if your routine is in any way showing like, man, a lot of people do this now, okay, like we gotta find where the puck has gone. And how do I make the pivot to get to doing the routine of the top 1%? All right, let's go to number 6. It's not cool to be normal. That's the 6th one. It's just really that simple. Being normal is not cool. It's kind of what I talked about before in the previous point. Like being normal is not cool. It is not cool to fit in. It is not cool to be of average. It's not cool to not stand out. I think that Western educational system, our school system has taught us like to not stand out. It taught us like standardized testing. It taught us that there is one way to be. And it taught us that there's one path to success. And that's not true at all. And God has made us all unique and distinct with unique gifting, unique skill set, like everything about us is unique. None of us are, no two people are the same. And so stop trying to fit in. I'm giving you permission now that your abnormality is normal, right? Like the fact that you're crazy is probably a good thing. The fact that you don't blend in, the fact that you don't have people that think like you think, it's probably a good thing, right? And so sometimes I think we can often try to, like we would get so maybe discouraged by the fact that you don't fit in, but that is a bonus. That is a plus. So don't be normal, right? Just be you. Don't be normal though. If anything, do not be normal. All right, let's go to the 7th one. We're landing the plane, y'all. We got 2 more. 7. Purpose is revealed in the doing. Yo, your purpose is revealed in the doing. Man, how often do I talk to people around purpose and discovering their purpose and understanding what their purpose is and understanding what God has called them to and all those things. I speak with people daily, literally on a daily basis that are curious about what their purpose is. And I can give them strategy for how to lean into their purpose and how to identify what their purpose is. But that is not successful unless the person begins to do something, until they begin to take action on what the impulses are or what the feeling is or what the unction is or what they feel led on. Until you take action and move in it, then you will know that it is purpose. And so sometimes we want purpose to just come to us in, on a white horse saying, I am purpose, right? And that's not how purpose shows up. Purpose shows up in community. Purpose shows up in you doing something and people around you identifying like, hey, you're actually really good at this. Purpose shows up in the fact that you try to fit in, but you obviously stick out like a sore thumb, right? Like that is purpose. And you don't get purpose until you start to do, right? So get doing more, like this terrible English, but get to doing and you'll get to purpose. The more doing you begin to do, the more purpose you'll begin to extract from the doing. And so you don't have purpose on the sideline in life. You have purpose from playing the game of life. And so stop thinking so much. Stop trying to strategize what purpose is and start executing, and purpose will show itself right in your face, and it will reveal itself continually in every season of your life. That purpose will be in the doing and not just in the mind of revealing itself to you. Okay. Here's my last one, y'all. My last one is people are watching you, rather they tell you or not. Act like it. People are watching you. People, listen, I need you to lean in. People are watching you, whether they tell you they're watching you or not. Whether they like your posts, whether they comment on your post, whether they repost your post, whether they tell somebody about your post. People are watching you, whether you realize it or not. And I think sometimes that we don't realize how closely people are watching us. Yes, people are busy, people have lives, but don't you for one second think that people aren't watching what you're doing. Don't you for one second think people aren't watching you start that business. Don't you for one second think that people aren't watching you go down the path of getting married. Don't you for one second think that people aren't watching you take the strides in life and watching you jump off of the cliff of faith and go into what God has called you to. You are inspiring people, whether you realize it or not. And so I just want to help you realize it, because I believe if you really realized it more, that it would hopefully give you some encouragement that what you're doing is not in vain. That there is somebody, there could be a kid, there could be a best friend, there could be a distant cousin that's watching you in the wing to see how you're going to respond to life, to its challenges, to its circumstances, and to its situations. And they're learning how to respond to things based on what they see you do. You are creating a legacy, whether you realize it or not. And so people are watching you. Act like it. Act like you have a telescope on your life and that people are watching you, because it's not always a bad thing. Like, you are probably more encouraging than you think you are. Your life tells a better story sometimes than we think it does. And so I believe if we really leaned into the fact that people are watching us, we will have more integrity, that we would have more conviction about leading people and how we lead people. We would have more intentionality about in building our legacy and truly meaning what we say and doing what we say, all right? And so, man, those are my 8 keys. Here is the ultimate key, right? Those are my 8, but here's my ultimate one. All these keys can be found up in one, and that number 1 key for me will be, man, following Jesus. Like, my number 1 key to success truly is making God like the head of your life, and getting God in your heart, man, and living a life that's purposed, like based on the person who created you. That is my number 1. Like, everything else dwarfs in that. Everything else is wrapped into that. It's cliche, right? Like, it's the classic, like, man, just know God, love God, right? But truly, man, like, that is the thing that has helped keep me in the bounds. Not saying that I haven't got out of bounds, not to say that I haven't dropped many balls in my life, but when it comes to getting back in the game, not getting so out of whack that I lose everything, it's been God, man. And so I just want to encourage you in that, man. Hey, this is all I've got for you in this episode of the Pivot Mindset Podcast. Again, we here believe that life is all about the pivots, y'all. And the pivots aren't always like steps up. Sometimes the pivots is just clearing the way for what's coming next for you. Right? So let's continue to make the pivots. I hope this episode blessed you. Remember here that life is all about the pivots, and those who decide to make the pivots decide to become successful. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.